Okay, so first thing you need to have your boards. So from Home Depot, I purchased this. This is a 17 by 48 inch board. I think it's about half an inch or so thick. But I like to make, or excuse me, have enough board so that I can put at least 8 spinners on it. Right. So this is the board that I purchased. I want to say this board was around uh $16, I think, for this board. And then I purchased a long board, which was, this was 120 inches long, and I had this cut into two 48 inches long boards also, so that they can go flush against this board. So I have two of these. Now, my very first board that I made ever, we put the holes in that was a little larger because I thought I was going to have like a 3/4 inch pipe, but ended up not liking that board. The spinners kind of, I would say the holes were too big, right? So the pipes kind of sunk down some. It would cause them to snag on my silicone mats, all of that. So I said, let me make sure that I make these new boards that are just, the holes are just a little wider to where the pipe can go through it, the PVC pipe can go through it just right, and I not have to put spinners under the bottom to hold them up, or any other kind of mechanism to keep the pipes from sinking. So I had these holes cut by a carpenter. He used a 7/8 drill bit to drill these holes in. I just wanted to make sure for these boards that it was done right this time. So that's why I solicited a carpenter to drill these holes for me. So anyways, again, these are 48 inches in length and 1 inch thickness. Okay, and I have my 8 holes cut across the board. Now what I did was I measured where I wanted each hole to go. And you can kind of see my little pencil marks here to make sure that I was putting the circle on the right space, so that it's enough to hang from the bottom so that nothing falls. And I'll show you the end result of another one that I made. But so you'll need your bottom board, your 2 boards for support. You'll need to have your drill and your attachment so you can put your bits on, so you can drill your nails into. You'll need your nails, and you'll also need your motors, right? Along with the nails to, or I won't say nails, but your screws, so that you can drill these into the boards as well. But I'll show you that once we get the board set up. So I don't measure where I want to put the holes. I do everything by sight. Now for you, you may want to do things a little differently, right? So all I do is I look at the board. I try to space it out to give like maybe a 1/2 inch give towards the back, right? So what I mean is, and hopefully you can see this. So when I line this up, I'm going to line it up to where it's about a 1/2 inch holding out here, right? So this piece out here, the edge of the board will probably be about a 1/2 inch or so. So we'll get started with putting one of the nails into the board. I like to make sure that it's pretty straight when I'm doing this by myself. Otherwise, if I have help here, then they can actually hold the board for me. But I'm using what I have in my garage to kind of help me today with this board. Okay, so I kind of know where I want it to be. So I'm gonna get my drill and one of the screws, and we'll get started. And remember too, you want to make sure that you have your holes at the very end of this part of the board, because that's what's going to stand up on your table, right? So I'm just positioning it again where I think I want it to be, making sure that it looks pretty even. And I'm just going to drill from the back into the board. actually going to drill the whole piece first, a little bit, just to get started, and then I'll put up the part of the board here. So I got that first one in and it's stable. So now I can kind of move this bottom part of the board just to get it back lined up like I want to. And I'll go through and I'll put, I'll space it out to where I have probably 5 nails, or not nails, I'm sorry, 5 screws going through the boards, both boards, along the back side. So I'm gonna go ahead and put these screws in. I won't keep you on this part, but I'll bring it back when I'm ready to put the second board on. So we'll be back shortly. Okay, so I have the holes and all of in the back of the board for this first one. So here I'm moving the board. As you can see, the holes have, or excuse me, the screws have been screwed into this particular board. So what I do next is I take the front part of the board, and this is the one that the mugs or your tumblers are actually gonna, you know, be facing. So I just kind of line it up again just to see how far, you know, of a give I want to put in between. I like to make sure that I have enough board left. So if I'm running like a 35-inch tumbler, like the ones that are 30-inch tumblers, the ones that are skinny and long, I want to make sure that they will not spin off the board, right? So that at least it will be on this board and not get messy on the table in which I sit this board on. I do have silicone mats that I use that I put on the boards too to collect the epoxy and then, you know, peel it off afterwards. But I just want to make sure that I don't damage another table because I've already done so with my previous board. And so again, I just like to kind of eye it to see how much in between, and you can measure it. And it's probably safer to measure it, draw your lines ahead of time so that you can put your boards on that line. So if you have it flat, you draw it out, then you kind of know the distance you want in between. Because remember too, you're gonna have to put your hands in between here when you're getting ready to affix your pipes and the I don't know what they call the Turner things, like the plumbing part that goes onto the PVC pipe. You need to make sure you have enough room to put your hand in there so that you can turn that, as well as to attach your PVC pipe in to your piece here to the board. So I'm just gonna space it out a little bit just to make sure I have enough give. My hand can freely move in. I think I'll be enough to where I can still turn, you know, within here. So that's just how I do mine. Now I will tell you again, I'm a little different. I can kind of visualize where I want something and then get it placed there. You, again, if it's your first time building your board, you might want to draw lines and measure everything. Also, another way to do this is to get a piece of your PVC pipe, put it into the holes to make sure that they are lined up well before you drill, and keep one in there while you drill. I think I'll do that just to show you what I mean by it. Hold on one quick second. Okay, so I use 1/2-inch PVC pipes. I cut them in all different lengths. It depends on what I'm going to use them for. I have some that I cut very small for, or short I should say, and I use those for like shot glasses when I want to epoxy those. I have some a little longer for when I want to do mugs versus tumblers, that type of thing. So, you know, you can cut your pipes however you see fit and for however you feel you're going to need them. So I'm just going to stand my board up a little bit just to make sure everything is lined up and is even. So for me. And then I try and turn it just to make sure it's not out of sync, out of line. I eyeball it just to make sure I can see the next hole, you know, in front here going through. So from here, I'm gonna go ahead and put my my hole, or excuse me, my screws into the board and into this board here, and then I'll be back to show you that that piece has been done. Okay. Okay, so as you can see, I have my two boards affixed to my main board here, and they are secured. So I'm moving the board, they're not moving. So I've screwed them in the back. So now all that's needed is to screw in the motors and put your PVC pipe on. So I use 1/2-inch PVC pipe. I purchased it from Lowe's and Home Depot. It's very cheap. These motors I've purchased off of Amazon. So they're the TYC motors. They come, the ones that I have came 4 in a box. So I just purchased 2 boxes of them, actually 3 boxes, just so I can have some extra in case a motor burns out, or if I want to make some smaller boards, right, that maybe have like 3 or 4 spinners on it. So if I have a small job to do, I can just whip out that board and utilize. And with the motors, the hardware will come with, so as you can see, it gives you your pieces to conduct or to attach your wires to from the motor, as well as your power cord. And then it also has your motor covers that come with as well. So because my boards are a 1/2-inch thick, these will not work for me. Because what I'm going to end up doing is attaching the male adapter to this motor. This is a 1/2-inch male adapter that I've purchased from Home Depot. And so on the inside, you can see how it has the groove. I'm going to actually sit this piece of it inside the adapter and then attach that to the motor. So because again, my boards are a 1/2-inch thick, I need a longer shaft. So I ordered these also off of Amazon. And so these are 30 inches long. The ones that come in the packs, I want to say those are like 17 inches or millimeters, I should say, long, and it just doesn't work for me. So I've gone ahead and started putting these in. And so what I do is I take the male adapter and then I drop this piece down into it like so. And you can see it here. And you see it hanging out just a little bit. Well, I need it to hang out further so that I can attach the bottom piece to the actual motor. So I've gone ahead and done one already where I've pushed this down in here and I've hammered it in so that this piece hangs out, because what I need is for the hole in it where I can affix the screw to the motor, I need to be able to get to that hole. So again, if you have a 1-inch thick board or thicker, you need at least 30 millimeters or longer of these casings so that you can get them through your board to attach to the motor. So I'm going to go ahead and finish hammering in the remaining 7, and then I'll be right back to show you how I put it all together on the motor and attaching it to the board. Okay, so I've gone ahead and I've put the pieces all down into the to the male adapters. Now I think the hole was different sizes. They're actually, all of these were in the same box at Home Depot for a 1/2-inch, but I think some of the holes on the inside might be just a little wider on some, because when I hammered these through, normally they just go enough through to where, you know, the hole is there to where I can actually attach this to the motor. But as you can see, for some of them, some went down further than the others, which is still good, which I actually prefer these lengths, because then I know this piece of the adapter won't attach itself to the board and try and screw itself into the board. So it will stand out a little further for me. It will be still secure because I'm gonna nail the motor into it. But just wanted to show you that there is a difference with me hammering these down in here. So I don't know how the holes are different because again, they're all 1/2 inch. But I guess, you know, when they're cut certain ways. So the next step that you'll take is within the bag that comes with your motors, you'll receive a little wrench and some little black screws. Those are what we're going to use to attach the motor of the attach this motor, this part, to here, because you'll see on your motor you have the little holes down there, and then here are your holes. So basically you're gonna screw put your motor in through here, line up your hole, and screw this piece in, right? The little black screw that it gives you. So what I do is I set my motor here on the back of the board. I then take this piece, I push it in as far as I can just so that I can see the hole when I'm trying to screw it in from the outside here. So from the back side, right? And let's see, I might be able to pull this forward a little bit more for you. So let me go ahead and get out my little wrench here. So they give you, you know, this little wrench piece. And then I'm going to take one, I'll take out 2 of them, other little black screws. I got one. Okay, so I'm going to attach the little black screw onto the end of this. And excuse my fingers, I think bamming and hammering with all of this wood stuff working out here, my hands look really ashy, so excuse me. So what I'm doing is I'm lining up, and I'll just pull this over a little bit. So I'm lining up the hole to this, the gold piece, to that hole. And then I'm going to actually screw this in, as long as I don't drop it. This is where you have to become real coordinated. I'm just going to turn it sideways so I can at least get it in that hole and start to screw it. Okay, so I have one side in screwed, and you can see the motor is attached to that piece, right? So I'll take another screw and screw that side in. And then I'll show you how I attach the motor to the board. And then what I'll go ahead and do, so that you don't have to watch me attach this to all 8 holes here, I'll go ahead and attach them all, and I'll come back. But I just want to show you this piece of, you know, setting up the entire motor piece onto the PVC, or excuse me, the male adapter. So I'm just screwing the other screw into the other side of the hole, and of course I did drop it. All right, so I've gotten that screwed in tight. And as you can see, when I push my motor up against the board, you can see that this piece of the adapter is not attached inside here. So a problem that I ran into with my other board when I put this together, this was trying to screw itself into the wood. So that's why I needed to make sure that I had a long enough adapter here to where it would hang out, right? So what I do is, and what I like to do is, I like to go ahead and affix the PVC pipe to make sure that everything lines up before I screw this in, because I want to make sure that it's going to still be able to turn, right? So I just kind of play with it to get the right angle, to make sure before I start to screw the motor to the board. So I think I like this position. Let me just go ahead and screw one really quick. out where I get my screwdriver. Okay, give me 1 second and I'll be back with the screwdriver. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and start screwing this in. I kind of like this position of where I have it. And you can use your drill, but I find for these shorter screws, it's really quick with me just screwing it in this way manually. So that piece is nice and snug, and I'll put the other one on, and then I'll show you how I attach the power to it, and then we'll just test to make sure that it does work, it turns, and then I'll go ahead and do the remaining 7, then come back and show you the final board. Now, other people's boards that I've seen out there, and you could do this too, and I thought about doing it, and it'll probably be the enhancement that I'll do to the board, but they make a casing to where the sides and the top is covered, and they also punch holes along the top so that you can use those as drying stations or a drying rack, right? So you could just take it off the PVC pipe, turn it upside down, let it dry. So I will probably end up doing that to my top piece here. I'm not necessarily sure if I'm going to close everything else. Also, I've seen how they attach their motors, or I won't say the motors, but the power to like the casing, so that it's not like the cords aren't hanging or anything like that. But I haven't gotten that advanced yet. For now, this works for me. I'll show you a tumbler, the other set that I did make that I have set up already, and I've been using it, making another order that I have. So this second board was going to come in handy for what I need to do this weekend. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is take this piece that came with the set, and that's for you to attach your wires to. So I'm just going to put one side in here, the other in the other side, making sure they're twisted well all together. And then you take your cord, your power cord. On the end of the power cord, you have the other wires to attach here as well. So this is the end pieces of the power cord, and now you're just going to put those in on the opposite side. And then just make sure they're locked in and secured. So now I have this attached. I'm going to plug this into the power, and we're going to test it to make sure that this particular motor does work. All right, so I'm going to turn it on and let's see. And okay, and hopefully you can see it here, but it is turning. Now bring it a little closer, and you can see here, you know, it's turning around. So it works. So I'm going to go ahead and, like I said, affix the remaining 7, and then I'll come back and show you the finished product. And then I'll show you, like I said, the other board that I currently have set up, where I do have some mugs on it that I started turning last night. I need to take those off and finish this project I'm working on for someone. All right, so I'll be back once I have all of the motors affixed, make sure that they have been tested to make sure that they do spin, and then we will be in business. Okay, so as you can see, I finished putting on all my motors onto the back of the board here. You see all of the male adapters have been put on as well, so everything is ready to go. All I need to do now is to finish cutting my PVC pipes to the sizes that I want them to be. I just have this one sitting in here just to kind of get a gauge for, do I want it this long or shorter? So I'm probably going to end up cutting this one down to probably about here, right? So that it's not so long sticking out. And all you'll need to have is your pipe cutter. I purchased this at Home Depot also. I can't remember the price, but it was cheap. I think around $10 if it was that much. And then you'll get a roll of PVC pipe. Of course, the sizes that I'm using is a 1/2 inch. So again, once you cut it to the size that you want, you just affix it through your holes, attach it to your male adapter, plug your power cord in, and you're rolling. So to show you, I did complete another board, and I have some mugs on them that are finished spinning that I just need to take off and now put the final set on for this particular project that I'm working on for someone. So I'll show you what that board looks like along with the mugs. Okay, so this is the board, my other board that I've created, the same way that I just showed you of the one that I made. It's the exact same size, 48 inches going across. The boards here are also cut to 48 inches. They're 10 inches high with a 1/2 inch depth. So again, this is another 8 spinner board. These are my silicone mats that I use. I've purchased these off of Amazon. You get them 3 in a pack as well. So as you can see, I've been using them. So therefore, you know, any of the epoxy can fall off of here onto your mats, and then you can just scrape this off once it dries. You can wash it however you want, just if you want to get it back to the clean look, right? Otherwise, you just pop the epoxy off once it has dried and to clean your mat. But who cares? These are going to be out here in the garage. I'm really not that anal, but I just want to try and protect the boards as much as possible, right? But it really doesn't matter too if my boards get epoxy on it. I can kind of care less. But anyways, I just wanted to show you the final product of this is what your board will look like if you go through the process that I went through to create mine. Now this board over here is my old board that I was using, and as you can see, when we first did this one, this is the very first one that I made, I kind of cut my holes. These holes were made and cut, I think these are 3/4 inch holes, or they might be a inch hole. And they were just way too big for how I needed this to work. Now I can still possibly use this board. I just have to affix some more motors to this one, and I will have to put something underneath here so that it holds the the PVC pipe up, so it won't you know, slant down, because the holes are so much larger. It's not securing the pipes like these holes are, right? So I've cut these holes just at 7/8 of an inch to come through circles, so that the 1/2 inch PVC pipe did not need to have the support underneath it, because it just fit through the hole, and the hole will hold the pipe in place. So hopefully this helps you with building your tumbler turner. So again, it's not expensive to do. You can build them for however big you want, however many tumblers you need to have on there, or turners, motors. And to me, it's a little cheaper, right, than purchasing separate tumbler turners for, you know, $30 to $40 a pop, right? So you can go purchase your wood, your boards at Home Depot or Lowe's, or whatever hardware store, you know, that cuts boards for you, and put it together yourself, because you can do this just like I did. Thank you for watching. If you found that this video is helpful to you, please review some of the other videos that I've placed out here. Like and subscribe to my channel so that you're made aware when I post new videos. As well as I do have a website of my finished products and things that I do sell, and that is www.agdesigns/online.com. And then you will find everything that I have done. I do a mixture of things, from tumblers to planters to wine sets, all kinds of things. So jewelry. So anyways, thank you for watching and enjoy your evening. Bye-bye.